So a very common question that I get asked by people that are interested in home bartending, like yourself, is what kind of bottle should I buy for my home bar? And really that can be broken down even further by the question, how much money should I spend on the bottles that I use for the cocktails that I want to make? Should I go with something high end like the whiskeys that I have here? Or should I go with something more in that low to moderate range like the whiskeys that I have here? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down that question and really providing you with some answers that I hope will help you guys finally build out your home bar and ultimately become better home bartenders and start making great cocktails. So for the most part, I think you guys should be using bottles that are in this range. I actually made a separate video earlier in my YouTube journey about this exact question, and I said that you should only use bottles that are in this range. That's the real simplified answer. I would say 95 to 99% of the time, you should be using bottles that are in this price range. And that exact price range in the year 2026 in terms of US dollars is going to be $20 to $35. So these two bottles, the Monkey Shoulder and the Rittenhouse Rye, a blended Scotch and a rye whiskey are going to be in that price range, as well as most of the bottles behind me and most of the ones in my cupboard as well. Most of the bottles that you've seen on this channel are going to be in that price range. They're going to be between 20 and 35 US dollars in the year 2026. I find that this is really that Goldilocks principle. This is the just right area. If you go with something too low, you're not getting enough quality. And although cocktails are, quote unquote mixed drinks, so you're going to be having other ingredients, fruit juices, syrups, bitters, sodas, dairy, eggs, different ingredients like that. Even with that, you could still taste the spirit itself. So you don't want something super low quality. I honestly think that anything that's really $20 and below, maybe with a few exceptions here and there, but for the most part, they shouldn't be used for anything. They shouldn't be used for cocktails, drinking on their own, shots, those jungle juices and punches that everyone had in college. Not even for that. I think you should always go with something in this price range of $20 to $35. And even within that price range, even on the lower end, $20 to $25, a lot of great quality options for rum, whiskey, vodka, tequila, gin, cognac, all those different things. So, you can still get a lot of great options there. And I would say if you go above that price range, then you start to get some diminishing returns because again, these are mixed drinks. So, those whiskeys and other spirits that are in that higher price tier, $35 and above, $50 and above, $100 and above, even $200 and above, those whiskeys and other spirits in that price range are not going to be, you're not going to appreciate it as much when you're making cocktails, because when you're making cocktails, as I said before, you're going to be using other ingredients, juices, syrups, sodas, bitters, dairy, eggs, all these different types of ingredients. You're really not going to be tasting the cocktail, the actual spirit as much in that cocktail. Whereas, so that's the problem when you use something like these high-end whiskeys here. This is an Islay Scotch, this is a Japanese whiskey, this is a single malt Scotch. When you use something like this, these are all definitely more than $50. They're all probably closer to like $100 in terms of actual price. When you use something like these are great to drink on their own. And that's how I really thought about this when I first started making cocktails, when I first was into home bartending. I thought that whiskeys and other spirits in this price range, whether they're nice whiskeys, they're nice, tequilas, nice, even there's also nice rums in this price range, a lot of nice spirits in that price range, $50 and above, $35 and above, certainly. I thought that those were meant to be enjoyed either on their own or maybe just on the rocks with a nice giant cube of ice, just sipping when you're having a relaxing night at home with some loved ones, having some great conversation, things like that. That's when I thought that these would shine. But actually in probably December last year, January this year, I read Sasha Petrosky's book regarding cocktails. And a lot of his recipes and a lot of his ethos and that mentality that he brought was that you could also use high-end spirits in cocktails. A lot of times if his recipes call for two different spirits, he would use one that was high-end, one that was more in that low to moderate end, in that $20 to $35 range. And there were even some cases where he would only use whiskeys that were in that higher price range. And I also saw this with Gary Regan. I read his book recently as well. He would oftentimes use ingredients that were in that price range as well. He would even specifically recommend certain bottles in those price ranges. So that was Gary Regan in the book, Joy of Mixology. So reading these books from these well-established, high-quality bartenders who have made amazing drinks, who have really contributed a lot to the whole world of mixology and home bartending, if they were recommending things like that, I thought it would be a good thing to try out as well. And lately I have started trying that out more. I recently made a video on the whiskey highball or the whiskey soda, and I used this Japanese whiskey here. And I felt that it made an amazing cocktail. So I would say this is really true when you're making certain types of cocktails. It's not going to be a universal thing that you could always just sub these out for these like one-to-one. But if you're making these cocktails where they're more spirit forward, I would say, so that would be something like the old fashioned, obviously the whiskey soda, because I did a video recently with that one. And all these other spirit forward cocktails where you don't have as many mixers, or maybe you don't have any like juices or syrups, they're stirred cocktails, things like that. I would say that that's when it's the time to shine for these more high-end whiskeys and other spirits. So, I think they definitely do have a place. I don't think there's really a right and wrong answer to this question. And certainly with home marketing and mixology in general, you can really do whatever you want. But as a good recommendation, I would say for the vast majority of the cocktails that you're going to be making, at least 95% of the cocktails that you're going to be making, go with something that's in that moderate price range, $20 to $35 in terms of US dollars in the year 2026. That'll really get you the bang for your buck. And I find that this works well as a good estimate, not just for whiskey, but also for vodka, gin, tequila, rum, and brandy/cognac. So all of the different core spirits, you can find 750 ml bottles in that price range that are going to be quality and that are going to be serving you well when you're making cocktails. But every now and then when you want to, when you want to treat yourself, you want to make a nice cocktail, maybe somebody just got a promotion at work or they're celebrating an engagement or a birthday or something like that. You want to do something nice, break these out. Maybe you're having a nice date night with your partner, break out the higher end spirits and make some nice cocktails with the higher end spirits. Especially works well for whiskey forward or spirit forward cocktails like whiskey highball or the old fashioned. These spirit forward cocktails, I think that they work great with the high end spirits. So, home bartending is meant to be fun. It's meant to be experimental. It's meant to be something where you can try out a lot of different things. So there's really no hard and fast rule. But when you're a beginner, when you're first getting started, I would say probably 100% of the cocktails that you make should be in that price range, $20 to $35. When you're more intermediate to advanced, then you can start experimenting more. You can start using higher end spirits, maybe combining spirits, maybe using split bases and things like that. Vast majority of the time, go with something like this. But when you're wanting to experiment, when you're wanting to celebrate a nice event, nice occasion, or when you're more advanced, you want to really flex your muscles as a home bartender, go with something like this. Anyways, that's all the advice I have for this video. If you found the advice helpful in this video, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I like to do 2 styles of videos on this channel. The first style of video will be tutorial style videos where I show you guys how to make specific cocktails. And the second style video will be like this one, where I answer different questions about home bartending, share tips and tricks, share stories from my own journey and things like that I hope will help you guys become better home bartenders. And finally, if you really want to invest money and take home bartending even more seriously than you already are, then I have a paid community on Skool.com. That will be the first link in the description below. Thank you. Cheers.